All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me on today's podcast. Episode 5, we're going to be talking about mindset and our triggers that affect that mindset and how you can actually really control that. You can not let yourself be as sensitive or susceptible to those triggers, those feelings and emotions that can just take over us and, sometimes derail us, cause us to make bad decisions or act out of character. We can overcome them, and I can tell you how. I can give you all a bunch of advice and tips, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to get into all that good, delicious, messy stuff. It's going to be good. Welcome to the Fasting Focused Lifestyle Podcast, where each week I will be discussing all things fasting and how it can become the most valuable tool in your personal toolkit so that you can live a long, healthy, and meaningful life. I'm your host, Vicki Sharon, and thank you for joining me. All right, so today with mindset, there's a few things I want to talk about before we get into some questions here, since I'm connecting with our live folks on Instagram as well as on Facebook. One of the first biggest things I want to cover is why your mindset does affect your daily life. And it's not just in a weight loss or a fasting sense. Your mindset and the way that you have your internal filter of how things affect you, the way that you perceive the world around you, it all is extremely significant. It's a very important kind of like internal belief system that you kind of have to set up for yourself. And, there's other talking points I'm going to cover in just a few, but to kind of segue into that briefly, what we allow in not just our mind, but in our, what I tell my kids, in our hula hoop of control in your life, in your direct, reachable accessibility, what you allow to come in, what you allow to internalize, not just conversations, relationships, connections with people, down to the food that you eat, the way that you behave throughout the day, the actions that you take. It all ties back to your mindset, your beliefs, your values that you have set up for yourself. And this is why I've also talked about in previous episodes why your why is so important. And it has to be something, like I've mentioned in the previous episodes, your why has to be so friggin' heavy. It's got to be a very heavy importance driving source of motivation to your life. Why you are making the pragmatic steps to better your life. Maybe not just in fasting, maybe fasting, like for me, was just the tip of the iceberg. And then, topically, I realized for myself, hey, I need to lose the weight. But then once I saw the weight start to come off, I came to a point where I realized, wow, this is not just about the weight loss. This is about so much more, because when you see the weight come off, things and your perception of the way that you live your life, the actions that you take, just the way that you start to see the evolution of yourself changes so much. And having the mindset of acceptance and realizing that, as children, as we grow up, everything is new and exciting. And, when something fresh and new happens, like a new experience, a new toy, hey, mom and dad, we're going somewhere, or like some kind of new adventure or experience, we get excited about it. And we have that kind of curious growth mindset. And I feel for the most part, as we get older, that can be something that we kind of we put down, and we think, everything has to be set and fixed, and there's no flexibility. It's completely rigid, and it has to be all exact, perfect. And that becomes like obsessive behavior, where we get so hard and overly strict on ourselves, not just with eating, but with the things that we do for work, how we behave at home personally. I have obsessive tendencies to some extent, like the way that my personality is with different things and cleanliness or whatever. But realizing if this is something that is taking over your life and not actually serving or benefiting you, why is it a behavior, an attitude, a belief, a value? Why is it something that are going to allow to keep continuing and to have just hold a presence in our life? Why are we going to allow this to continue? And I feel like having this mindset of acceptance for whatever comes in your life, the understanding, realization, feeling the emotion come, y'all. Having the acceptance and realization that this experience of our lives is so just, it can come, it can go. People can show up in our lives and the next day they may be gone. Experiences can be short, they can be long. Like these experiences, moments, people that come into our lives, they're not going to, this experience that we have is not forever. We know that. But, sorry, we're getting emotional here. We have to have the understanding that we're not going to live forever. And that's hard. Like, as you can see, it affects me too. It's hard to have that, firm grasp understanding that life is short. We here, and then one day we're not here. But the obsessive fixation that everything has to be a certain way and that there's no open-mindedness, no flexibility to allow for life's imperfect moments, for things to go wrong, for times of slip-ups, for things to derail us, and for things to derail us in a temporary sense, but to have in our mind and our understanding that, oh yeah, I had a bad day, or I ate something that I'm not too proud of that I ate. Having the acceptance that what happens is external. It's not something that you have to hold on to. It doesn't define who you are as your character. It's something that you can use and just step back and observe and say, wow, okay, yeah, this happened to me, or I ate this, or someone said this to me. Yeah, it's pretty easy to say just to let it roll off of you. To be able to have really that mindset to not let it affect you over time, the more you practice that habit of just acceptance for the changing tides of life that happen, the happier that you're going to be. And this is not something that's quick, that's easy, that just comes without trying. This definitely takes some practice. It's a journey, and it's something that I feel like as a society, a lot of us can definitely work on to improve. It took me a while to get into that mindset fix. Like I've mentioned before, when I started this fasting lifestyle, I jumped in with a 16-8 for 2 weeks. And my mindset at the very beginning is obviously not at all what it is right now. And the way that I go about my daily life, the way that I eat and think about actions, behaviors, habits, and all that stuff. It's not the same at all. And obviously I identify with, yes, that was me. But behaviorally, emotionally, I'm not the same person because I took everything personally. Any, side glance that I would get out in public or the way that clothes would fit, I would be super insecure about the way that I looked, the way that I felt. I felt that people could perceive. I'm an empath very much. I felt like people could perceive the way that I felt about myself without me even saying anything. Like it was a huge fear, a huge insecurity. And it had been like that pretty much my entire life, just based on my experiences growing up, the dialogue spoken to me, about me, around me, the way that I experienced life before coming into fasting, which, like I said before, which is why I feel like this is more than just weight loss. Like the weight loss effects with fasting are awesome. Like I absolutely feel with every fiber of my being that fasting can be absolutely life transformative. Not, like I said, not just for the physical aspect, but there's so many, like I said, the emotional, internal things that repair themselves with that flexing muscle practice that we are allowing ourselves to participate in every time that we have the opportunity to. Every time we're faced with adversity, every time we are faced with a challenge, every time we are in a situation where there might be an altercation, where someone disagrees with us, someone challenges our value system, that's an opportunity for growth. And so many of us in so many instances will take that as a personal slight. They'll take offense to it, and next thing you know, you internalize it, and that spirals and grows like a giant fucking weed that just takes over your entire mind, body, behavior, everything. And it is so toxic. And I know this because I've been there, and it's so, it can be absolutely, sorry guys, it can be absolutely catastrophic to let those inner poisonous weeds of just self-doubt and deprecation and the dialogue and experiences that we get influenced by from others and different experiences, they can fester and grow, and they stay so deeply rooted within us that we think that we're stuck that way, that that's our normal, like this is what we have to deal with. This is, you'll always be this way, or you'll never be able to get out of this. What we hear from other people, what we experience, what we witness, what we read, what we consume, not just in a food sense, feeds all those weeds inside of us. And man, if you want to get those weeds out, you can. You absolutely can. But it's not like a one pull is going to get them all. Like, you have to pull them out one by one. You've got to spray your inner pesticide to keep them at bay so they don't fester and grow and come back, because they can. As much as you can be willfully persistent on making sure that you keep that barrier up to keep the negative experiences, thoughts, beliefs from others from affecting you, they still can. They can. Weeds for a reason. There's a reason why there are weeds that grow through the tiniest crevices and cracks in the pavement. So your pavement might be super strong and stable, but a little weed might grow through there every once in a while and sneak on through. And that one weed, if you let it be and let it keep growing and keep getting bigger, it can get bigger and bigger. And before you know it, it's going to spread and take over, and it's going to hide that entire pavement, whether it's, I'm imagining my walkway out front where I just keep picking the little sprout weeds that come through. And I'm like, it's a beautiful euphemism, and it makes total sense. What you allow will continue. It can grow and it can take over like the worst weed you could have ever imagined. Like it can be extremely, extremely toxic. And like I said, what we allow is not just in the, food consumption sense. It's the people that we surround ourselves with. It's the, I can feel it happen again. It's the verbiage that we allow, maybe not directly, indirectly, the passive aggressive, undertones, the side glances, maybe from someone that you just keep putting up with, or the, behavior from family, or whoever's in your circle of direct influence around you on a regular, consistent basis can absolutely affect you if you let it. It can absolutely affect you. It can wreck you. It can derail you. It can ruin your, all these little things, they add up. Like I said before in previous episodes about these small things will all continue to add up, and either it can be in a positive sense or it can be in a negative sense. And I've been at the negative. I've been in the worst of the worst, eating myself. Essentially, I was eating myself to death, realizing that this giant, massive weed, like I said earlier, you can dissect it. You can dismantle and take it apart and make it so that's not your future. That's not your reality. Don't accept that. You are much better, you're stronger than you realize, more than you give yourself credit for. Like I said, the way that we react and respond to those triggers in the moment can make or break you. And I've said it before in the previous episodes, one of the biggest things I can wholeheartedly advocate for, if you don't already do some kind of form of meditation, focused breathing, mindfulness, awareness of you, your mind, the way that you feel, how you hold your physical body tension, and you don't have to like have that perfect yoga pose and sit. You can have a meditation any time of day. You can meditate while you're driving. You can meditate while you're walking around in the grocery store. I've done it all. I've been in situations where there have been just scary altercations that I have been able to tap and calm myself down and have that awareness of what's going on outside of my body right now. I might not be able to control. What I can control is my thoughts to this situation. The way that I respond to this situation makes a big difference. And am I taking it personally? Is it something that I can change the outcome? Can I say or do something to affect this situation that I'm in right now positively, where that I'm not getting negative influence and energy thrown in my direction? If you can, great. If you try and it doesn't work out, not taking offense to not seeing the desired outcome manifest takes practice. Having that understanding, like I mentioned before, that not everything is going to go our way. You know, a lot of us sometimes behave like grown children and we throw a fit, we melt down when things don't go our way. Having that acceptance that, yeah, this may not go my way, but I'm going to try. I'm going to at least show up and contribute if I can turn the tides in a more positive direction. And if it ends up working in my favor, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. That's okay. Because I know my response and reaction to this situation and this environment is not going to be affected by the outcome that wasn't, what I expected it to be. And that's okay. It's okay. We get so fixated, again, like I said earlier, about that obsession of it has to be perfect. It has to be 100%. I've been there. That feeling and mentality of like all or nothing. If it's not able to be perfect 100%, then why do it? Like, why bother? You got to at least try, because, it's that, I remember seeing infographics and like photos of, examples of success. And when people achieve massive success in their life, we see just the highlight reel of like, oh my gosh, you must be so great. Oh, I could never do that. When in reality, their path to success is like all over the place. They've derailed, they've kind of like gone off over here, but they've come back and like come off the road maybe a little bit and then got back on and then went off a little bit and then came back on. The key to all of this, like I've mentioned before in previous episodes, as well as I'm going to talk about it right now, having that consistency, and I've talked about it in a fasting sense, and it's absolutely applicable in this mindset sense as well. Having that consistency with being true to what's important to you. Do you feel like it's beneficial to get into an altercation over something silly all the time? That is a huge expenditure of your own personal bodily energy. There's a quote I had on my background for a while. It may or may not have been Buddha, but it was holding on to anger is like expecting. Oh God, what was it? I'm gonna mess this up here. Let me see if I can't look that up here real quick. It was something like holding on to anger is drinking poison and expecting the other person to die or like be injured or something like that. Why are we holding so much physical tension and anxiety, stress, ill wishing and everything towards other people when they negatively affect us? The way that we respond, think, react, behave to whatever situation that we're in is our responsibility. It's nobody else's responsibility but our own. And the the more we're able to consistently kind of flex that muscle of, this is my responsibility to mitigate how I react, how I think about this situation, how I feel about this situation. It's a mindset shift that takes time. Showing up for yourself, realizing it's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to have these experiences that are learning experiences that don't go as you planned, that don't go as we expect. Because in our mind, when we go and do, our daily activities, and something goes totally wrong, and we post it all over social media, oh my God, this happened to me, and it's gonna wreck my day. I had this conversation with my son yesterday, picking him up from school when something didn't go his way. And I bet he can hear me right now. And he's going to be like, Mom, why'd you talk about it? But anyway, I'm going to use it. When you go into your daily activity, like I said, expecting, we're manifesting already in our mind. It's going to go this way. It's going to be 100% all this way. And then when it doesn't, we take offense. We get defensive. We get angry, we get stressed out, we hold on to that physical body tension. This also can cause us, in our moments of weakness, to go to the pantry, to go to the fridge, to just start stuffing and shoving things in our face. I've been there. I know this. That was me. I looked for that. That was my drug of choice. That was my sedative, okay, let me calm myself down. Shoveling it in. What did that get me? It got me to hold on to those beliefs, hold on to those values of low self-worth, just sensitivity and affect to any stressors around me. I was basically like a feather in the wind, easily taken by the breeze to whatever came and affected me, positive or negative. Like I was happy and floating on the clouds. And then when things didn't go my way, I was the lowest of lows. And that's exhausting. That is so exhausting. And the body likes to have things nice and balanced. Yes, of course, we're going to have moments of like joy, excitement, happiness. And yes, we're going to have moments of sadness and just misery. Oh, I know. Misery, sadness, just horrible situations, circumstances, experiences. The more we realize that the more we try to hold on so tight to these feelings of extreme happiness, we want to keep it, that obsessive behavior stays there. And that allows us to really give in to those negative behaviors and adopt those negative mindsets that, like I said, that we hear from others, that we consume, whether food, conversations, things that we read and see that we think are directly about us. We take everything personal, and it shouldn't be like that. Practicing that it's okay, that the feelings and thoughts, beliefs are temporary, that, your emotions. I heard a TED Talk last semester when I was in one of my courses that I'm taking for school, and it was so good. It was such an insightful thing. This lady that I was listening to, she said, emotions are like tunnels. And sometimes those tunnels are just like a discoteca, and it feels so great. You're riding on like cloud nine, and it's wonderful to be there. And sometimes those tunnels of emotion are so dark and murky and friggin' scary to even peek into, but we have to go through them. We have to get to the other side. Staying stuck and not dealing with the situation, the circumstances, the challenges that are presented in front of us, make it so that we, again, are super sensitive, super reactive, looking for vices, whether binging on food, very harmful, self-destructive behavior. And it's, it reminds me a lot of, I really wanted to bring this quote, and I love Mark Manson. If you ever watch this, man, you're awesome. I know a lot of people say like, authors have changed my life, blah, blah. Like I read this book and listened to the audio actually first, about a month after becoming a widow. I think I found this. And in there, it's I'm glad it was in the beginning of the book, because this really was like, what? It kind of like blew my mind. He has this little chunk in here that says, the desire for more positive experience is itself a negative experience. And paradoxically, the acceptance of one's negative experience is itself a positive experience. Meaning that the more you obsess about what you don't have, what you're lacking, what you need, oh, I need this, that is a negative experience. Even if you think altruistically, like, I'm doing the good thing, I'm working, I'm, going after for what I want, the obsession, just manic obsessive behavior towards what you want, and thinking, like I was saying earlier, thinking that nothing can go wrong. It has to be perfect. It has to be just, I need to get there. I can't wait to get there. I can't wait to have this. I can't wait to lose this weight. I can't wait until I can go on vacation. I can't wait. That's a negative experience. And that is such a toxic mindset. It makes it so that your focus becomes less about where you are current and presently, and more about what that future experience is going to look like, what it's going to be. And most often than not, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be so friggin' disappointed with what the end result is. Sorry, guys. You're going to be so disappointed when you get to that end result, because you're not here in the present moment. Sorry, guys. Not being here in the present moment and appreciating all the imperfections, all the mess that's here, that's now. Realizing that life may be a messy dumpster fire right now, but to know that it's not going to be a messy dumpster fire forever. Like, the fire will go out. You can pull those weeds out bit by bit. Reach out, ask for help from people that genuinely show love, support, kindness to you. Finding your community of like-minded individuals is a big deal as well. And there's power in numbers. There's absolute power in numbers. This is a really heavy kind of... I'm going to take a quick sip of water here. Does anybody have any questions that's watching? I can't really tell. My eyes still being kind of funky here. If anybody has any questions, throw them on right now before I finish and tie up this episode here in just a moment. I want to thank you guys for joining me today on Facebook and Instagram Live. It's the first time I've done it both together, so this is a little bit of a new experience to see like two screens together right here, and then also of my audio going right now. So to tie it all together, before I go and end here in just a moment, how all of this relates to the stressors of the holidays as we come into, Thanksgiving in a couple weeks, and then Christmas, New Year's, and all the stressors of that can bring. A lot of us look forward to the holidays, but a lot of us also have a lot of fear, apprehension of, am I going to do everything right? Am I going to be, making my kids happy? Am I going to meet expectations of my family, my neighborhood, my community, with doing enough? Am I going to do enough? Am I, overextending yourself, usually when it's not necessary, like realizing what your limits are, and realizing that, like I said before, with the imperfections and obsessions, that it's okay to say no, that you can turn down invitations, things that you just don't feel like are going to serve you, or that don't hold true to what your beliefs and values are. That it's okay to say no, that it's okay to refuse an invitation, to refuse an invitation, or, offering of whatever it is, because that's going to be your self-preservation. It's going to help make you stronger. If it's something that you truly, truly believe does not serve you, don't allow it in your, like I said, in your hula hoop. Don't allow it in your hula hoop if it doesn't serve you. So using everything that I talked about with the obsessions and the acceptance of just, not giving a fuck, as Mark Manson says here, I think is super important, because the obsessive all or nothing mentality, especially coming into the holidays, if we don't really have a strong foundational belief system, your why, what's important to you, identify that, write it down. I believe, for example, my personal beliefs, I'm going to share with you. I feel the biggest thing, and I've told my kids this ever since they were babies, is respect. And I feel very, very strongly in, the laws of karma, and just what you put out, you get back. And this is why it's, to me, so important that I give respect, even when I feel like other people don't deserve it, in situations and circumstances where maybe old Vicky would have felt like I'm being slighted or taken offense to something. I just, that whole sentiment of biting your tongue and if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. I'm just kind of like, okay, yep. If somebody disagrees with you or tries to get into an argument or an altercation with you, one of my favorite things to say is, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I just accept it and I leave it. I don't get into physical or verbal even altercations, because again, like I said, that it's a huge use of energy that I don't feel is going to be beneficial. Just going tit for tat with someone and getting into a spat just to get into a spat to prove a point, if they're already so fixated on what they believe, what is, their core belief and values, I'm not going to change that. I'm not trying to change them. All I know is that I can control and mitigate the way that I respond, react, and think and feel about that situation. And that, to me, is more important. So I preserve the way my own, that's my self-preservation. I just agree to disagree mentality, and I just walk away. If it's something that we can't come to a common agree to disagree, then I just walk away. So I'm going to check here real quickly to see if we have any questions. So Shalfoosh, yeah, sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. Totally agree with you. Fasting is life-changing. Absolutely. Fiscally, emotionally, absolutely. Spiritually, more. I've grown so much since discovered fasting. Yes, absolutely. It can change your life if you let it. If you're willing to show up for yourself every single day. Yeah, you're worth it. You're worth of this lifestyle. And again, like I said, people have that mentality that it has to be perfect. It has to be a flawless, perfect, journey where it has to be completely right. And if it's not, then nope, I'm done. Next method. Now, if it's worked for you for a chunk of time so far, and then you have a flub up somewhere, why are you going to allow that little slip up to make it so that you don't get back on and keep plugging, realizing, hey, what I did before, my methods before, they were beneficial. I lost weight. I lost 21 pounds my first 2 weeks. Was my journey entirely perfect? No. But I continued. I persisted. I realized that slip-ups are okay. That your attitude and beliefs with your inner dialogue, the way that you see yourself as your body changes, that inner dialogue can be changed. You can change it from, oh my gosh, I look horrible. I feel like garbage. I feel like, the things that we say to ourselves. Would you say them to someone that you loved and care about? Because you should love and care about the way that you speak to yourself, even in your own mind, to yourself, when you're looking in the mirror, when you wake up in the morning and you look yourself in the eye. Do you think, I look like a dumpster fire today? Or, wow, I look strong today? I know I've got a challenging day ahead, but man, I got this. I know I'm going to knock it out of the park. I got this. That slight shift can make or break you for that day. But it doesn't have to be all fake and, artificial and the sky is blue even when it's rainy, whatever. I get optimism. I've been an optimist pretty much my whole life. But realizing and having that acceptance of in each of the moments that we're in, there's stimuli all over. Finding what's going to keep you in that everything's cool, man, kind of mentality. For me, it's music and spending time with my kids and consistently doing that fasting practice every single day. And some days it's a 16-8. Some days it's a 24. Some days I physically feel, I probably want to maybe extend my fast, maybe an additional day, like a 36-hour fast or whatever, because I allowed myself the previous day to indulge a bit. And I do. I allow for those moments. I have I think 6 more cans of Guinness in my fridge that have been there for over a month. I want to save them for a moment that I feel like is going to serve me the best. If situations, circumstances, people, if they're causing you more emotional harm than they are serving you and your goals, your values, beliefs, all that stuff, then it's time to think, recalibrate, and think about how you can make that change. Because it all starts from within. And it is completely and totally up to you, and it is your responsibility to do this. And I know you can. I've done it. I was told my entire life that I was stuck at being almost 400 pounds. And I'm not. I'm not the same person anymore. If you feel stuck, if you need help, support, I'm here. I can help you. I've been there. I walk the walk, so I talk the talk. I believe in you, even if you don't. So thank you guys so much for joining me today for this episode. Greatly appreciate it. Again, if you need any supportive assistance, guidance, motivation of any kind, this. I love this. I love being that additional, you got this source of support for my people, because I feel like we're stronger together. There's strength in numbers. If you need any of that support, I'm here for you. Check out thefastingfocusedlifestyle.com and send me a message, and however I can help you, I'd be honored to. Thank you guys very much. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and check out the next episode. Thanks, guys. The Fasting Focused Lifestyle, copyright 2021 by Vicki Sharon. The information given within this podcast is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your doctor before starting any weight loss method.